do a standing bow, and then that's some pretense of etiquette, right? Yeah, thanks for giving up part of your Sunday to come and play and have a look at this stuff. I know some of you, last year, we did Motobu's drills, and the kata I created for them. And then when I was asking Ali, what do you want to cover? He said the Motobu drills, so I thought they were obviously a hit last year. So we'll go through them. I'm going to put a little bit less emphasis on the kata side of it today. We'll walk through that as well. I'll make sure you get it, but I want to make sure everyone gets the drills. And of course, the 12 drills that we're mainly going to focus on aren't the only things that he ever did. So I'd like to look at some of the other drills so you get the idea with them. So for some of you, I know your objective will be, I want to leave with all of those drills locked in my head. Right? And as usual, at the end of the day, I'll do a quick video summary for you so you've got your notes to take away. For other people, you'll just be curious and want to have a look at them and see what they are, and that's fine too, right? So whatever you want to get out of the day, I'll try and help you get it. So, you're Choki Motobu, well-known Okinawan karateka. Didn't really found a style. There is a Motobu-Ryu, which is a style of his family, but it's not what he did. His father regarded him as a bit of a lunatic and therefore wouldn't teach him. In his one of his books, he shows these 12 two-person drills, which I really like. And the reason I really like them is I think they're a good antithesis to a lot of modern karate practices that people wrongly think of as traditional, right? So things like, particularly 3-step and 5-step style sparring, which really originated in karate, you know, he taught 1940s onwards, so they're not that old by comparison to some of the stuff. And I know a lot of people do them and like doing them, and there's nothing wrong with it if you like doing them, but I've never yet had someone explain to me their practical value. So those kind of practices often get justified, well, it's good for beginners, you know, because they don't worry about getting hit. Well, I think, well, I can do that to a beginner, and they don't worry about getting hit, but it's still a more realistic style attack, right? And then people go, yeah, but they're good for timing and distancing. I think, no, the wrong timing and the wrong distancing. Because the timing is very jerky, which is not how people fight, and you're too far away. The other bad habit with them is they get you to retreat in straight lines on a lot of them, which again is not a smart thing to do, right? And where they come from historically is as karate is trying to make itself into a modern Budo, a modern martial art, it copies what the other Budo arts have been doing. So judo is a classic one, right? We wear judo suits. It's not karate anymore, it's karate do, because all the cool arts have do on the end, right? And then we steal their grading system, you know, wholesale rip them off. And one of the things that's quite common in judo, for those who have ever done any, if you look at the Nagano kata of judo, the throwing katas, it's quite common to do, I will unbalance you, I will unbalance you, I will unbalance and throw you. Which for judo makes good sense, right? Because the unbalancing is a big part of the throw. So they do a lot of things in threes. And then the karateka see this and think, well, we'll do things in threes. In kendo, they do a lot of drills in fives, distancing drills, where, you know, your partner moves down the dojo and you move and you make sure you've got your distancing right. And they'll come to you 5 times. So the karate guys see this and go, we'll do our own version of those, you know. And then they become traditional 2-person drills. But they're not that traditional. Whereas if you look at Motobu's drills, some things that I hope you'll notice straight away is they're all close range. You know, so like real fighting distance. He never moves backwards. He sometimes angles, but he never takes a backward step. Apart from when he's battered them and now I can leave. But in order to, you know, to deal with the problem, he crashes in and takes control. He makes a very good job of predicting what a real person will do when you try and hit them. So there's bits where you try and knee him in the groin and he moves his body back. Or you go for a head hit and he leans. These are things that real people do and Motobu's drills address. When you're doing the drills, he's also aware of where he's open. So the opponent can always do something, right? You know, there's not a technique he can do which the opponent can't ever counter. But he acknowledges, when I do this move, I'm open here. So here's a defense for that area. Which again, I think is really interesting thinking. There's a couple of minor examples, but very rarely has he's got one hand inactive. He's got both hands working all the time because it's close range. There's no empty hands doing nothing. And you see methods that were quite common in old karate, which are now under practice. So there's a lot of hooking punches in it. Whereas, you know, I know for me, every time I throw a hook punch on YouTube or Instagram, someone accuses me of, well, that's not karate, you're doing boxing, aren't you? Not to my knowledge. You know, it's the same you do a throw, you're doing judo, right? You know, it's the same stuff. So I hope you like having a look at them. We'll run through them so you get an idea. They're all fairly simple, there's just a lot of them. You know, 12 altogether. Some of them are more complicated than others. And then I'll show you the kata that I created for them, which I'll talk about in a minute. And we'll also do some of Motobu's anti-gripping stuff, which we didn't do last time, which hopefully you'll find interesting as well, right? So when I started practicing these drills, and to be clear, I do the drills the way I do them. So when I vary slightly from the way Motobu does them, I'll tell you that I have and why, right? I don't think Motobu would care. You know, because of the minor little tweaks, but I've done that so they better fit with everything else we do, which I'll explain. But when I started really working on them, when I was training on my own, I'd do the drill on my own. You know, I'll just kind of practice the movements, I've got a part, I'll do it on my own. And then it dawned on me, if I put all these little solo things end to end, I've got a kata. I'm going to make my own Motobu kata, which was a fun exercise, and I did gain some insights for that process. So I made a kata that was just for me. It was for me to practice Motobu stuff. And then I mentioned it online on my forum, and then people started saying, you know, can you show us it? So I showed a few people it, and then they're, oh, we love this. And then I don't teach the kata in my dojo. We do the drills, we don't do the kata. For grading, some of them know it, but you don't formally have to do it. But there's plenty of people I know who do have this kata now on their grading syllabus in their classes and stuff. So it's developed a life of its own. You even see variations on it now, which is kind of cool. You know, I'll look at another version, I'll say, oh, they've tweaked that, and I see why they've tweaked it. You know, there's a little stylistic variations start to appear. So anyway, that's the plan for today. Is that okay? Yes. Let's do Motobu's first drill to start with then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first 3 in a block, and then we'll do the solo form and we'll rattle through it that way. Is that okay? There's only 12 of them. And the 12th one is just reaching behind and grabbing his groin while he's in a bear hug, so you know number 12 already, right? You know, some of them are simpler than others. Ali, we'll get to number 12. Yeah. So this is the thing, what I like about them. When Motobu starts, he's standing in a position like this, right? I love this. He's not there like that, because in the real world who attacks and stands like that. He's also not there like this, because that's a fighting thing. He's like that, as you would be if you were talking to somebody. So that's one change I have made. Because of my training with Jeff Thompson, I prefer that as a fence. Because that was the fence that Jeff gave me. So I don't, for my students, if we're doing a fence, that's how we do it. So I don't suddenly want to go and here's another one. You know what I mean? You know, for no good reason. So when I do the drills, I've just gone from a natural talking position. And that's where both people begin it from. Because I think that's more realistic, right? Motobu was a grand believer in preemption. He talked about it. You know, there's examples of him actually doing it, which we'll get to. But his drills are for, it's got beyond that point. You know what I mean? It's how do I take away the advantage when he's already got it. So the first one, we'll just do them on the side that Motobu does them. My advice to you is, you should really drill it on both sides. But my advice for you today is don't do that, because you're doubling your workload. Let's get it so-so on one side only. And if we're going to pick a side, we'll do the side that Motobu does them in the book, right? So this one's left to left. All of them, apart from number 5, you're in the same stance. If you're in left, your partner is. If you're in right, your partner is. The only one that's left to right is number 5, right? So we're here, and Ali's there too. For the shots as well, for the punches, I like to make them as real people punch. So not this kind of stuff, and certainly not that kind of stuff. He's okay, so Ali's just going to he's going to swing a shot to where my head is. I do that, right? Well, more specifically, Motobu does that. So it's not this. As Ali swings that shot, I'm not going bang. It's not a uchi or soto or whatever your style labels that as. In his book, he talks about as if you're trying to smash through the shoulder. It's what I call blocking at source. You're crashing in to take the power away. You notice with this other hand, as I'm moving from there, boom, I've already got that hand covered. So at this point, you can't hit me with this hand because I've got my arm in the way. You can't hit me with this hand because I've got that arm in the way. You notice how my back leg is bent. And this is important, That's not because my Zen Kutsudachi is bad. That's because Motobu didn't like Zen Kutsudachi. Right? He said you cannot move. I get what he's saying, but I don't agree. So he's saying that you can't move forwards from this stance. And he's right. But the point is the stance isn't the start position, it's the end position. So if I hit somebody with a Zen Kutsudachi, I'm immediately moving on to the next technique anyway. But out of respect for the guy whose methods I'm practicing, I'm going to do them his way, you know, when it comes to that. So if he doesn't like Zen Kutsudachi, I'm deliberately going to put a bend in my back leg. He's like, okay, just to keep that part of it accurate. So there's only one other move beyond this, for the first one, but if partner swings a shot, bang, move in. Notice there's no moving back, there's no empty hand on the hip, I'm close and I'm crushed in and I'm ready to go. Now if I had the hand somewhere else, let's say he has got it on his hip for reasons. Somebody photograph this so we can criticise him later. So yeah, if he did have his hand on his hip, then I'd be jamming it there. If he had his hand up in a more boxing style guard, that kind of thing, as he swings his shot in, then I'll be pinning it where it is. Is that okay? But the idea is before you throw that shot, I'm going to stop you throwing it. And then I'll mention this, then you can actually get on and do something. But Motobu, one of his little quotes, and we'll do lots throughout the day, is he said, the true blocks of karate make it impossible for the opponent to launch a second attack. Right? You know what I mean? That's what he says, right? And I think impossible is a bit of an oversell. Probably more accurate to say makes it more difficult for the opponent to launch a second attack. So as I've gone from here and boom, well, he's got to get past this stuff before he can hit me. So it's in keeping with these principles which he puts forth as well. Is it okay to give that one? Notice I'm stepping forward. So I'm starting left and then I'm crashing in with my whole body weight into right. Is that okay? Okay, give it a go. I'll be right round to see you in a minute.